you have also traveled to Japan, and you know this region. Do you also share my impression that Japan has not enough historical appreciation for just how the Second World War is remembered outside? Because I must add one thing. Japan's pacifism is quite strong, or used to be quite strong. But what this means is that a lot of people now attribute, death with war. Death happens because of war. Japan doesn't say like death in China happened because of our soldiers. It happened because of war. Japanese people died in Hiroshima. Chinese people died in Nanjing. It's war. This leads to a lack of appreciation of how this is viewed on the other side. Do you share this?
Oh, absolutely. I think there is a very strong cohort effect. If you were born before the war, maybe you are now 80 and plus, you would have some firsthand understanding and may have your own conclusion. But the people who were born after the war, starting from 60-year-old to 70, 50 years old, a lot of them take a different position, saying that even though they may understand Japanese aggression to other countries and territories in the region, they would say, oh, this is due to those militarists. That have nothing to do with the present Japan. In other words, war and remembrance in Japan has a chasm. They selectively remembered the nuclear Holocaust, the bombing of Tokyo, but they selectively neglected the aggression initiated by Japan by design and by their military armies, soldiers, and generals alike to cause extreme pain of other people in the region. So this selectivity, separated by different cohorts, people of different age, is extremely clearly for the youngest cohort. People supported Takashi Ishii has 18 to 34 as the strongest cohort supporting her. And that cohort has no recollection of what Japan has done during the war. Therefore, I don't think there is clear accountability, clear understanding and acceptance of responsibility like Japan's other allies, their Axis countries' counterpart, like Germany has done. Germany has accepted their war responsibility, has taken strong measures to make that country accountable to other developments in Europe. But Japan has enjoyed a protected position by design by the United States to be an Asian forefront for the US. And therefore, many of the people are shielded from the real war and remembrance. They have not accepted the responsibility, nor have the government being accountable.
Plus, one more thing, which is that Japan had to deal with the challenge of being occupied by the previous enemy. And if you keep focusing on who bombed you, then naturally you would have to put a focus on the United States. But instead, they focused on war is bad, war is bad, war is bad. But that eliminates guilt. And what the Germans did, they went through the guilt question, is something the Japanese avoided largely. Not completely, but largely. And this is coming back to haunt us now. Where do you see a reasonable way out of this? Do you think we need a new discussion about history?
I think there is a need to have real, full-faceted recollection of what happened. I feel so sorry that we're talking about this. I have some really older Japanese gentlemen friends who are 90 years old, who were part of the pre-war generation that understand what Japan did. And they were very apologetic to the pain and suffering Japan caused to China. And those generations are dying fast. Sorry to say, the new generation has no moral remorse, nor do they have any moral understanding of that guilt and responsibility. So your point is very, very well taken. But I think the problem is partly because of the cross-strait situation. The war was led primarily by the KMT government. post-war power reside with the PRC government. So the two governments did not coincide in this in portraying a full picture of China's suffering and counterattack during 1931 to 1945. Little did these stories being told, and little did these stories being told in English. So I think the two governments, because of our own internal civil war situations, actually owe the world a full account of the Sino-Japanese War II, that is 1931 to 1945. And that would help us better understanding and attribute responsibility, guilt, and accountability.
And reconciliation. I mean, what would be needed would be a joint study groups in order to reconcile these different narratives.
And let me add one thing. I think we also need to draw in those Japanese scholars and, intellectuals who take the position that Japan is accountable and responsible for what happened during the war, for the pain and sufferings it caused. Those people, the moral voices in Japan, needs to be strengthened, reinforced, and be drawn into an intellectual world community for the completion of this story. The story on 731 Laboratory was given by a Japanese senator to the world. And I think those kind of actions, those really brave souls, give us hopes that history will finally tell the complete story and the true full story.
大家好，我是主播周玉琴。很多的朋友告诉我们，太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌帮助了睡眠品质。原版的太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌，它添加有超级食物羽衣甘蓝，健康再加分。而有睡眠困扰的朋友们，赶快选择蓝色包装这一款晚安加强版，绝对是更有感。每日克菲尔，时刻美好 ，Good Feel Good。请上快点购为健康下单，而且要记得输入推荐代码，有额外的折扣优惠。太阳星全效克菲尔益生菌基础版、晚安加强版，新包装改版，内容不变，抽取更方便。要吃就吃最好的。